Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment, sort of It Came From the Workbench, because it did indeed come from the workbench over the span of about 12 hours. On and off, this one was for me. So I attempted to initiate it during a recent live stream. That did not succeed. So I sat down and I had a mixed level of steepness of climb to get the assembled parts to cooperate. It is certainly imperfect. This is, hey, and there's his fresh battery. We've got a battery that it's at about 35% in there, enough to give you some roll back and forth on the bench. So I am no great fan of the optic, because what Vanquish did was build a platform that seems specifically designed to provide an in-house upgrade path. As you know, they're not a charity, they're there to keep the lights on. It makes sense. You don't want to give people something that's too capable out of the box, because then what is the motivation to improve that which is in the box? So I am fond of the optic cage, and while I'm not a huge I barely dabble in 3D printing. I printed this little piece right here. Those print real nice. I'm gonna print it real quick. Boom, knock one out. It takes about 40 minutes, I think, to knock one of those out. And it holds the switch, because if I'm not putting a fusion in it, what am I doing? The cage was provided me by one of the lovely members of the Canyon. It is the gray one. It was originally this color, and then dyed green. I have a theory that when it was dyed, the dye, I don't remember them being quite this springy. It's very springy, kind of twisty almost even. So this is not an optic. It is definitely not an optic. The only part here that is optic is the cage. I wouldn't even be running the door panels, except those who know the optic. It didn't, when it was sent in, it didn't have the little pins. It's the exact same size as a suspension link, 5mm. Find one that's about right length, put a nut on one end, pop them in from the top. There is battery. 850 fits in there. You'll see right there the bottom. That is the bottom of an Artful Dodger's Fox Belly. We will see if we can, which is basically a Stealth X gearbox flipped on its side. As such, if we pull the other side off, you can see there's the motor. Lays down nice and flat. There is motor on one side. And why this came to be in its essence is, let's look at that. Perfectly straight drive lines. Now, I used the skid for like a VS410, which the holes in here do indeed mostly line up. There is some link weirdness in the front. Look at there's more spread on the upper links than there are on the lower. Hey, triangulation is triangulation. We're running a full height in an application that should probably not have one. That's right down there in l'environnement. We will find out how that does. Also, I did the real quick math. That is a 14 or 15. Can I read the end? 15. That is a 15-tooth, 32-pitch pinion mated to a 50-tooth spur gear. I don't know if you'll be able to see it past the rear steer. It is four-wheel steer, of course. These are Mias Capra axles of the four-wheel steer variety. And AGFRC SA75 CBSW V2s front and rear. Oh, yes, let us complete the thought. 1800 kV Fusion SE. Correct? 1540. Is that 3.55? 50 divided by 15 is 3.33333, repeating indefinitely. Times that by the internal ratio of 2.6, that gives us 8.6 output from the gearbox, roughly, because this gearbox is built with the 12% underdrive to the rear. So it's actually, like if we did 8.6 times 1.12, it's actually 9.7 piping out the back and 8.6 piping to the front. The rear axle has the 1223s in the portals, that is 1.92. We times that by the 3.75 in the middle, that gives us 7.19. For the purposes of ease, we'll round that up to 7.2. 7.2 times 9.7 means the rear axle has an FDR of 69.84 to 1. Call it 70 to 1. 70 to 1 to the rear axle is, in only the most technical of terms, a lot. And while setting up, I've been driving it around on the floor inside the workshop. These are the tires that were tested in the Quick View, basically fresh off the Quick View. They were removed from the tires upon the wheels upon which they were tested, and they were fitted with, again, another Canyon member was kind enough to send in some 3D printed inserts that they did, which are very, very soft for the weight of this vehicle. I've got dual stage in the rear, single stage in the front, because this is a ghost ride. It's pretty much going to go just like this. I can tell you right now, there are overdrive gears either in the middle or in the portals. I have not disassembled the axles. I'm led to believe that it is in the portals, because in the bag of all the bits that come with the Mias four-wheel steer set are 1223 portal gears, which leads me to believe that there's probably 1421s in the front, which means 20% plus the 12, so we're looking at about 32%. That additional 20% up on the front is kind of the only thing that gets us any usable wheel speed, because with the 1800, oh baby, how slow do you want to go? And we can't even do the trick. I can't even do cruise control because we got this back here, so I can't adjust it. You will notice, okay, watch it. Watch the herky jerk. Watch the herky jerk of the gentleman as he moves forward, because the insert is so soft. That that is him running over the veins of the 3D printed insert. That's the 3D printed insert collapsing and then moving to the next one. I wanted to test them. I think they are probably going to be too soft for this, because he is, for lack of better terms, he's sort of big tipping. 360 millimeters on the wheelbase. Those are, of course, 525 megalithics on Capras, so you have Capra clearances. Those are old Losi shocks. As I was laying it out, I said, well, let's just pick a shock that looks kind of approximately close. And I think they do. I also like that and they feel very damped and quite heavily sprung, very heavily damped. But the first component of the suspension is these airbags right here. The dual stage feel pretty amazing. But we will see what steering accuracy looks like. This is the Ghost Ride, ladies and gentlemen. 360 on the wheelbase, 280 outside to outside on the front track, 270 outside to outside on the rear track. This is because I had the bright and brilliant idea to mount Deluxe, the big chunker Capra portal weights in the front, and then I took the portal weights that came on the front axle with the Mias four-wheel steer set, and I mounted those to the rear axle. So they're about half the amount of weight back there. Because, let me tell you a little something. This is not lightweight. This is not a light fella. This fella is a prime and potentially perfect portrayal of the capacity of scale. I don't think that we're going to see, it's not going to like, this isn't a sporty in disguise. This is a buggy. And we have very, very limited link mounting solutions, mostly of our own doing, because the Fox Belly has the conventional AX10 3-gear bolt mounting pattern. You can see the spur right there. And it only has one place to mount upper links. So in terms of link separation, not. 8 millimeters? Maybe 10. Let's say between 8 and 10 at the chassis. As such, with the 100 millimeter Losi shocks at the skid, 70 millimeters of clearance directly under the lowest part of the skid. We've got 50 at the pumpkin / servo. If the servo hung lower than the pumpkin, something would have had to, we would have had to address it. I wanted to run chassis mounted steering in the front and servo on axle in the back. And we ended up with BTA in the front and SOA in the back because there was nothing that I could get. It wouldn't line up. It just wouldn't line up. I believe that you can probably, with relative ease, convert your H10 to CMS, but you can't really convert this to CMS because the mounting points on the capper axle just don't line up. As it is, the clearances on the horn are not amazing, but they're also not terrible. This is a set of wheels just out of the bin, 22105s, standard 28 or 30 millimeter beadlock ring, just the standard guys with the 3D printed inserts. The SA75's running on 3S 1800. It needs a Fusion Pro. I do have one. It won't be too arduous to swap it in. I'm going to have it apart again a couple more times. Almost certainly. Like the little honeycomb guy that I printed out is not fastened down in any way other than tension. And, the width. Let me complete a thought for once. The hexes were in too tight and they bottomed out really, really badly. So the front, like, always check. I didn't do my field test. When you mount a wheel, go like this. That's the play in the universal. If you can't do that, something in there is binding up, and I do it all the time, enough times that you would think I would catch on, but for whatever reason, I guess I don't, because they were binding terribly. Like, I noticed the cage squatting, and now it, the biggest thing we notice is it actually riding over the veins of the 3D printed inserts like it's going over speed bumps. Oh, yes. I said I think it's 1421s in there. Watch that front tire. We've got some split. It is doing the dog dragging it, doing the scooch on the carpet when it's out there in the dirt. And it kind of appeared to me that, like, the tire trim, it's dirt right outside the front door, right? It's dirt right outside the door. There's a little brick pathway, and then right next to it's dirt. It's basically dragging the birch boughs behind it and obscuring its own tire tracks because the rear tire is moving so slow. It's just scrubbing the tire track away. Are we going to like guesstimato? What do we got? Usually nothing will stick to the tire, but we'll see. We only need some electrical tape to go around a couple revolutions. That is approximate enough for me. %, maybe? So there's one. And there's two for the front. And, just almost lined back up at 3. So, no, yeah, that's 3 to 2. So, yeah, it's in this 33, 34% range. That's usually more than I would like, but we're altogether too early into this to even bother doing the math on it. I haven't even thrown it on a scale to see where we are. I know that when you pick him up, he feels a certain way, and that certain way is heavy. So we're going bins to rocks straight away. Oh, he's not light. 135 ounces. I don't know why it's on ounces to start. That is 3,819 grams, aka 3.8 kilos, which is 8.4 pounds. That's not terrible. 8.4 is not bad. It's not awful. And mind you, 70 to 1 gear reduction out back and 30% less in the front. Yeah? Something like that. So 23, so like 40, call it 48 to 1, 47 or 48 to 1 in the front, most likely. Which probably explains how we're getting away with the 1800. So again, I believe we're going to witness some capacity of scale. He's big. He's pretty big. I can't remember off the top of my head what the wheelbase of an Optic is. I'm guessing, looking at the lean, around 360, maybe a little shorter than that, somewhere in that neighborhood, which is why I was appalled to find out initially that they come on 1.9s, come on 475 1.9s, which is, like, you can see, you could actually get away with a little bit bigger. You could run some 5.4, 5.5s on here just fine. And I just went straight for the nuclear option. I have a lot of choices in tires of this size, 5 1/4, and we might as well go to the highest scoring one that we've seen. Above the rupture, above the tusk. The 525 megalithic is definitely its own thing. And we're going to take it out and we're going to run it just like that. My ability to manipulate link positions is minimal. We'll do some cosmetic stuff to him in the future. We'll figure out what we're going to do up in this area. Because of the way compression works, I'm not ruling out putting a battery up there instead of running the battery in the door. Run the battery over there. But there's really no point in putting him across the scales yet to find out where his balance is, because I threw him together in a day, going through the agonizing process of, like, the receiver is just kind of dangling down here. Nothing is affixed. We've got double bend links turned onto their sides. Can we clear the drive shaft? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. The drive line is pretty close. This was a thing that I had as a plan in my head from initially seeing the Optic. I said, I'm almost positive if you just take the Optic cage, even with the links on it, and take the H10 axles off and put Capra axles on it, I bet it gets better. I was hoping for a bit more link separation in terms of length. We did not get it. Front eye to eye, close enough as to approximately 140 on the lower. Rear lower, 150. So we got 10 millimeters. So what I did in an effort to compensate for that is brass rings, the biggest weights that I can run on the knuckle. We're going to try to keep that, and just squishy bag outs. So I wanted a rock crawler. I don't want a trail buggy. I want a rock crawler. So this is, at the very least, hopefully that. We will go to the rocks. We will just do a mishmash. We'll hop around. We'll do a little bit of a modified tire test protocol. We'll kind of smash a class 2 and a class 3 tire test protocol together. And what we're going to want to look at is, does it do undesirable things? Does it wave? It's probably not going to wave. We are definitely high roll center. That upper link situation, the ones in the rear look straight as lasers. And the ones in the front have more separation at the chassis side than the axle. We'll see. We'll see what that ends up. This is basically a bin build, though I did buy the axles with this in mind. The Fox belly fell into place. I did not know when I put in my order. I didn't know that when they say 4-wheel steer set, they genuinely mean it, where that's effectively a reversed rear axle. So you get the straight, usually they give you 2 front axles. No, I did not know. There's actually a front and a rear, and they're different. And the deluxe weights sort of fit on the Mias Capras. Not really. They don't like it. They go along begrudgingly, but they don't really fit. They sort of fit. They don't fit great. They fit okay. You have to move a lot of stuff around. You have to locate 13 by 6 by 3.5 bearings, which are a bit of an oddball. 110 shocks over 100 millimeter shocks, probably oversprung, but we're on some bags. I'm as curious as you are. We're going to take it out there onto the rocks. Mr. 360. He's got a turning circle. He's a turning circle. He's a turning circle. Let's go find out what we've made. Find out, is this amount of overdrive, underdrive too much? Oh, man. Those megalithics. Oh, man, do they want to climb stuff. Look at that rear. Look at that rear pull up. Oh, my. We may get the first 4-wheel steer setup that doesn't riddle me with anxiety. I don't know. Let's find out. Mr. 360. Let's take him out and have a go. First, the breakdowns. 87.22. 82.27. 55. 27 degrees Celsius. 55% humidity. It's feeling a little soupy outside. This is not going to be out of the performance range of J Concepts Green. And while we're on the topic of J Concepts Green, they should be the biggest advantage here. Megalithics real high up on the leaderboard. Capra axles are also fantastic. This is my first spin with the 4-wheel steer specific Mias offset Capras. We'll see if we can feel the Gumby cage at all. We'll see if we'll feel oversprung on those low-C shocks with the white springs on them. And we're probably overdamped and under-supported on the insert. But too much bag is only too much bag if it starts hurting your forward progress. We're on the cusp of too much bag. Look at the thing we can do, though. Ooh, that, okay. I ordinarily classify the SA75 as a servo that is right there at the verge of almost being too fast. Not for this. Ooh, that is a lot of underdrive, but Well, okay, a lot of total split. You know what? So, four-wheel steer wants a tire without a lot of lug directionality because you can change the attitude of your rear tires, right? And rear tires see very different loads than what front tires see. So, having our front super bagged out like that, I think works to a degree because we can change the attitude of the rear tire and really alter how the load is presenting itself to each tire. This feels very naturally four-wheel steer, and four-wheel steer is not a thing that comes naturally to me. Oh, yes. Again, we have no control over our link mounting position basically at all. I mean, already, I'm going to go on record. It's an optic, but not to backpat too much. This is the optic that we wanted, right? I think the biggest difference here is it portals versus straights, Capra portal versus an H10 straight axle. Well, let's put it this way. It's not hurting. Oh, it is not hurting. And also, should the H10 have come from the factory on 525s? Unquestionably. Without question. And you know what? There's something about the orange and green together. Why does that work? It just works. A little crab action, spin it around. Oh, an 1800 is, it's nearly perfect. And two very fast servos, front and rear, is luxurious. There's always that moment right when you come into the ghost ride, which this is. As much of a ghost ride as you can do on a cage build. Those front tires they look flat. We're running 1 PSI. I mean, we're technically running 14.7, but we're running 1 PSI. Oh. The megalithic, which, checking database. Have we four-wheel steered megalithics before? I don't think we have. They are magical. This thing is... Get loose. What's the next step beyond planted? My gracious. Oh. Oh. What? Get it, son. Ordinarily, I would say, if given the, and no, this still bears true. I would say that given the choice between dig and four-wheel steer, I will take dig 90% of the time. And I want to say that that's still accurate, but my goodness, is this four-wheel steer good? Oh, I don't know if I showed you the controller. I had an old Airtronics wheel, right? I drilled a hole, boop, in the back of it, 8.5 millimeters, touched up the VR knob on the lathe. This still needs to be cleaned up, and then what I'll do is I usually like to put grip tape. I either put grip tape around it or I put the sticky back foam around it. So I'll clean this up the rest of the way. It's got a real sharp edge out here at the edge. We'll clean that up. And that is how we do four-wheel steer, because with the freaky thumbs, that's how we do the four-wheel steer, and I can still reach the other one. So this is how I'm usually going. It's like doing one-handed steering, like when out on a trail, but you're using both hands. The SA75 is so responsive. Oh, man. It's so bagged out. This is maybe more bagged out than middle school desk was, where it was just like the softest inserts I had on hand, and we put them in there, and it just worked. And I was like, what? We're there again. Those fronts. So I think we've got just a smidge, just a smatter of that delicious, delectable celestial alchemy, because we have a spring. The springs feel oversprung. Like it feels like too heavy of a spring load, because I think that the bulk of the weight here is indeed still in the axles. We're probably over 50% unsprung weight. But those heavy springs really allow you to get really sideways messy. Like I have long said, there's that rock right at passenger front tire. The closer you are to that rock, the better you're doing. We can use that rock. 525 megs here with the 3D inserts that would appear when you squeeze them between thy fingies on the bench. That is an insert that you would say 5 to 5.5 pound vehicle, not 8.5 pounds. But here we are, and it's doing all of it. And it looks like something a guy built in his garage, and I really love that. So, dyslexic optic owners, untie and let me know. I don't have any other options in-house to verify my own suspicions, but remember I mentioned that probably during the dyeing process, the nylon got a little, I almost said Gumby action. Gumby's green, Pokey's orange. Is it Gumby now? Because I feel like we now have 3 elements of the suspension. We have extremely soft 3D printed inserts. We've got the Losi shocks, which are doing a great job. Watch for rear passenger lift. Oh my goodness. Not just no lift, but plant it, son. He was once a little green slab of clay. I think the third heat, we've got a third heat, and it is the Gumby-like chassis. This is forward drive that, on the one hand, I would say yes, 525 megs are going to give us some real grapple ability. But at the same time, okay, let's get right here. Want to drop the front end, and then we're gonna swivel. It's like he's Mr. Never Lifts. Those tires, those fronts are bags. It is transforming that bag into just all forward drive. I would never guess 8.5 pounds. It drives, that Fusion 1800 is doing work up in there. We've got 3 suspensions, and they all love each other. The thing I can't get my head around is, why does the 4-wheel steer feel so natural? Also, every 4-wheel steer outing, much less build, reveals something that I didn't know before. Do we need to be running just mashed potatoes for inserts in the other 4-wheel steer builds? Do we need even more overdrive, underdrive split? Like, we run right around 20 on one, 18 on the other. Do we need to be in like the 30 to 40% range? Do we need to tinker even further with this guy? I think this is why Dan, his name might be, if we put Gumby and Pokey together, that's Gunky. Gunky kind of makes me laugh.
there's almost certainly no rise, high side. Oh, gracious. And again, I'm intoxicated right now by what I'm seeing, not like the actual, I'm not physically intoxicated. So I am forgetting capacity of scale. 360 wheelbase, 280 wide, so 11 inches, 275 would be 11 inches wide in the front. He's a wide boy. And then megalithics on 3D printed. Look at this, look at the pivot. Those Losi shocks are from the olden days of Losis, so they are really quite good. As a bin build goes, man. And the fact that this is an optic cage, but not an optic, look how far we can get now. You know what? I'm going to try to swing around below. I was going to try to swing down around below. Because of the fact that this is built out of an optic, this is a sleeper build now. This is an installation in what a difference very small changes make. Hello. I don't know if you caught him in time, but that was a medium-sized German Shepherd. I don't own a dog. Just wandered on by. 10 millimeters roughly longer. But what we do have is we don't have H10. I don't think there's any H10 geometry on here really, because we don't have the skid for a VFD. We've got fox belly in there. And then Capra axles. So the mounting positions, the shocks look almost a little pigeon-toed in the front. I'm looking to see if I can get away with one slightly smaller. It needs different shocks, basically, is what it is. Because I would like to get the shocks to lean down more like underslung Desert Lizards or some 95 or 100 millimeter chavs. I love the look of these. They don't really perfectly fit just because of their size, big spring size. This guy would be better off with a narrow spring shock, 10 millimeter spring shock. But we ain't changing them anytime soon, because I'm watching the suspension action, the three suspensions. We've got the inserts, the shocks, and the Gumby. I had the rear axle aiming the wrong way. I'm like, why won't it steer? Oh, got a little push. 360 wheelbase. Takes you a little longer to spin it around. This guy is definitively not class 2. He's a big fella. This is really fun to drive. This is antithetical to my experiences driving H10 optics. So the question is, can you make an optic crawl? Absolutely. I think all you really need to do is put Capra axles on it. If this had a VFD on it, I don't think it's going to hurt the performance. Don't do it. Stop. No, stop. No, stop. Don't do it. Yeah, let's not break the brand new Isokinetics. Someone had mentioned in a comment that you can, on an RC6, you can mix the VR knob to basically trick it to be self-centering. Is this, am I remembering this correctly? Or is this wishful remembrances? I did not begin my turn in. That's not an approach nor a departure that anyone else uses. Pulling right over the top there. I will take it. Center cut. Here's what we do. We go to here. Yeah, I was nowhere near straight. There's quite a fair amount of trim in the rear axle. Get the real low speed. Try to do it with just rear steer. Position, cut back. Oh. Get a little catch. Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely. See the stability here? Oh, it's really nice. I am glad, truly, that I took some me time and I built this. Well, I assembled this. I'm trying to think, did I have to custom anything to get it to fit? There was a little bit of cutting. I had to Dremel a bit to get the fox belly to clear. And the fox belly was not part of the plan. Putting Mias Capras under an H10 cage was the plan. But it didn't have the inserts in mind, nor the megalithics. The wheels were chosen, just pulled them out of the bin, and I love the look of those all-silver 105s on there. They look great. The shocks happen to be the nearest hundreds that were in the bin. We're waiting for the other shoe to drop, because if we can't find caged weaknesses, the next thing you know, you end up buying something titanium and feeding it money. Oh, this is a problem. It's just of an exceedingly rare instance of all the things, not just cooperating, but collaborating. This has to be one of those whole more than the sum of the parts. Look at that descent. Does that descend like something that weighs 8.5 pounds? The lug noise of dragging that rear end. No experimentation will take place until numbers have been written down. Get out. I didn't even initiate a rear steer until too late. It was doing so much work. Where do I want to be? Now we're getting into where I can't tell what to do four-wheel steer-wise because I'm not good at it. Okay, get it straighten out. There you go, there you go, there you go. Now where do I want that rear to steer? Do I want this way? We're gonna crab it? Or do we need a four-wheel steer it? It has got this center line. I just don't know how to get there. Look at that front end press back down. It's some tiny amount of rear steer input that my brain, I can't think in both directions. Grab it, grab it. I think I need to go that way. Nope. The maneuverability is really good. Okay, we're right there. We're a little bit in between the wheelbase. So if I'm cutting this way, I want to do this to shorten the wheelbase. See if I can get a little piece of it. Give me a little piece. Get a little over, and now cut it back the other way. Now I cut back too soon. I don't know when to steer. We'll we'll get to it. We'll get there. Every time I get to the moment where I feel like, oh, the absolute mashed potatoes of front tires should be harming us, they really don't. Yeah, then I remind myself, brother, 280 wide. The Class 1 test guy has a 285, 286 wheelbase. You are 280 wide. 360 wheelbase puts you in the top 5 here. Oh my goodness. It pulls like a train. I'm getting into this problem. I'm not even paying attention to four-wheel steer because I'm not sure how to use it right. Wow. Oh, we may well indeed need that half height in the front. I don't really need an excuse to buy the AGFRC 60 kg. Get out of here. Yeah, that servo is hanging down real far. Front. We can find another rig to put an SA75 in, no problem. And when a thing does the thing, what does it make you want to do? It makes you want to buy shiny things. Looks like we need another 60 kg AGFRC. I mean, I have varying degrees of dim memories of we're gonna use it. Oh, still got it. All right. Four-wheel steer will make even your buggy self-rideable. I can remember dimly across a range of quote-unquote ghost rides. The untuned, first time out on a rock, took a bunch of pieces, threw it at a thing together. This might be the best one because the outcome is absolutely not what I had anticipated. It is ridiculous how pleasant that thing is to drive. And it was touch and go. During the build process, I think I remade the rear upper links 5 times. And they're still not right. Like they're not dialed all the way into the end, so the actual link length is not perfectly correct. If you think I'm touching that rear upper link set, you're insane. We have something inexplicable, and we're gonna ride it. We're gonna rock it till the wheels fall off. Once we have a catalog of every component in play, we can start tinkering. But it is going to be some light-duty tinkering because I don't see any glaring holes. Let's come straight off the top. Catches it. It's that. I want to be able to get that. I don't know if it's setup or me learning it. We'll get there together. We'll get there together. Four-wheel steer folk can help me out. Running out of memory foul. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here in the canyon. We look forward to seeing you next time. In between now and then, please, one and all, do your very best. Have a good run, everybody. We'll see you again here from the canyon. I don't know. It's either Gumby or Gunky or something along those lines. All I know is it's pretty great.